I am recording this video primarily for the students who missed my class on Monday because of Labor Day, in hopes that we might recover a few minutes extra time by having you watch this outside of class, or at least quickly at the beginning of class. These are hints and tips that relate to our next project, which is a little notepad. Our little notepads, when they're finished, will look a lot like a matchbook. So here is my 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. This is my letter size paper. Okay, and we figured out that we need to divide it into thirds going parallel to the vertical direction and into quarters going parallel to the horizontal direction. Now, I haven't drawn this very neatly, but each one of these rectangles is what's over here. Okay. Now, we're starting to work with not only inches in measuring, but also in picas. 6 picas equals 1 inch. A pica is spelled P-I-C-A. So 8.5 is the width of my sheet. In picas, that's 51. The length or height of my sheet is 11 inches. 11 times 6 is 66. So that's my pica measurement for the vertical dimension. So when I cut 51 into thirds, I get 17. When I take 11 inches and I divide that in half, I get 5.5. Cut the half again, and I have 2 3/4 inches. So you can work in whichever measuring system works for you, but you need to be very clear about labeling them so we know what we have. 6 picas equals 1 inch, therefore 3 inches is 18 picas. 3 inches is 18 picas. So this is a little less than 3 inches, and the height is a little less than that. In this rectangle that we are creating, the width is greater than the height. Not by much, by less than a factor of 1/4 of an inch. But still, nonetheless, it is wider than it is tall. Okay? So over here, I'm going to get a different color of marker for just a sec. Over here, let's pretend what we have here is a stack of these little pieces of paper after they've been cut up. They will be in a pile, and there will be 36 pieces that make each little tablet, because we have 12 in one sheet, and we're going to have 3 sheets that we perforate and cut and put into a pile to become each little notebook. Now, when we are drawing and planning, a solid line means cut, a dotted line means perforate. Okay? So we're going to be perforating. Everyone in industry says perf. Perf means perforate. We have a tool with a little wheel on it that is pointy and sharp, and as we roll it across the paper, it will cut little teeny slots or little teeny holes that will be the perforations. While we're at it, these little red brackets, they indicate staples. Those are commonly used as a symbol for staples. They're commonly red just to make sure you notice them, and they're clearly shaped like a staple. So we will be doing some perforating on our little note card or tablet pages before we cut them. So assuming this up here is the top, there's no difference between the top and the bottom, but it's easier to refer to it one way up. We are going to do a perforated line 1/2 inch to the right of the cut line. So it's going to be 1/2 inch between the cut line and where this little perf line comes in. Same thing here. We're going to mark this on our plan that we build in the classroom on a piece of paper. So it's 1/2 inch over here, and then over here it's 1/2 inch too. Now on the two columns that are closest to the right hand edge of the page, we're measuring over from the cut line. Here we're measuring from the edge of the sheet of paper. Okay, so there will be little perfs there. And eventually when it is cut and all stacked up, all the little perfs will be approximately aligned like this. Okay. Now, this is a simulation here of the cover. And we have to get those dimensions figured out. So we have a perforation that is a 1/2 inch from the edge of the paper, and we need to be sure to totally cover that up. So the first section of our cover is going to be big enough to cover up the perf, and we're going to use 5/8 of an inch for that. I need to erase this and write it more clearly because it isn't real clear on this little doodle that I'm making on the screen. So the first one is 5/8 of an inch. Then it folds back the other way, so we have another 5/8 of an inch. Then we have a fold that is the thickness of the stack of paper, which is going to be approximately 1/4. Then we fold up back behind here, so we have the panel that makes the back side, which is going to be a little more than the 17 picas to make sure we have enough room to squeak a little pencil or pen in there. So it's going to be 3 inches there. And we're going to allow another 1/4 of an inch here, where the fold is, where it folds over the top of the sheets. And then our last panel can't be as long as the 3 inches or it won't tuck in properly. So we're going to estimate 2 3/4 of an inch and add it all together, and then we will figure out what we have. We'll do a sample and make sure that's going to work. So I have run out of room here, but now we need to do the math. So we have 5/8 and 5/8, and we're adding those together. That's 1 1/4. 2 5/8 is 1 1/4. Then we have 2/4. That's a 1/2 inch. And we have a 3 inch. And we have a 2 3/4. Now, if we group these together to add them more carefully, this 3/4 and this 1/4 makes one more. So we have 2 plus 1/2 plus 3 plus 2, or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 1/2. So it is likely that the page that we have, this distance here, along the long edge of our paper, that's going to be about 7 1/2 inches. Maybe not exactly, because remember, we're going to do a sample and we're going to tweak it and make sure it seems like it's folding correctly. We're going to score it at all the folds and make sure that seems like the correct value for the distance. So this is 7 1/2 inches in our plan from here to here. And you can see from the numbers here in my drawing where it is that we're going to score it. Now you can tell that I'm working on this on the iPad and it's not real high resolution, but it does give you enough detail to have the gist of what we're going to make. And the information will be filled out a little bit in class as we go through the project.